Welcome back, everybody. Before we begin, it's a little too quiet, so let's change that. Much better. Second thing before we get started, I kinda need to get dressed. Today, I'm feeling like the Blue Apron, mostly because it's in the front. Now, this is going to be my take on Soma's Gotcha Pork Roast. I'm going to keep it fundamentally the same, just change a few things around, and instead I'm going to treat it like a reverse Wellington. So let's go ahead and start talking ingredients. It's going to be the same. You can use half of a small yellow onion, some lemon, rosemary and thyme, butter, potatoes, mushrooms, asparagus, a red wine, a dry white wine, beef stock, bacon, and pancetta. So let's go ahead and get this all out of the way. I'm going to start with the potatoes, mostly because they take the longest to cook. I'm going to peel them right into my sink like an animal. The thing about this though is that I gotta be careful because sometimes potatoes can just fly out, and it's okay. It landed on the potato peels, so we're still good. Afterwards, I'm just going to rinse this all down and make my garbage disposal go burr. Now, knives, I'm thinking my 10-inch chef knife and a paring knife. I'm going to go ahead and cube these up and throw them in some water and get that boiling away. Now, mushrooms. The main switch from Soma's is that I'm going to make a mushroom duxelle, which means that these mushrooms really need to be chopped up finely. And when I say fine, I mean very, very fine. Once you're done chopping up your mushrooms, if you're magic like me, you can just stroke your knife the right way and a pan will appear. And oh my god, it's there. Be sure to use the blade of your knife so you dull it when you scrape up all your mushrooms. And I'm only going to use half this onion, and I'm going to struggle to peel it, and then have a moral dilemma as to whether or not I should use my knife, but I fundamentally just give up and use my hands, throwing it away. Now, once again, we're going to mince this very finely. I'm only making about one portion, so if you're making more or a larger batch, feel free to use a food processor. Your hands will thank you. We're going to such lengths of mincing up our onions and mushrooms because a duxelle is supposed to have the mouthfeel of almost a paste at the end. Now, once you're finished, just stroke your knife the special way it likes, and the pan should just reappear right in front of you. And it's back again. And again, be sure to use the sharp side of your knife to scrape up all of that onion. Go ahead and toss this on the heat. Don't be afraid of using a high heat. We're going to try and get as much liquid out as possible. Season with salt and pepper. Make sure to block the camera when you're doing that. It's a little Linus Tech tip right there. Now, let's talk herbs. We're going to be using rosemary and thyme again. Go ahead and add a bunch of it. This is going to taste great. But be sure, when you're ready to start chopping it up, you push down way too hard so it explodes everywhere, and you have to struggle trying to pick it all up. Once again, use your knife to scrape it all off the cutting board and toss it in. Now, while you're waiting for everything to cook down, there's several things you can do. Maybe have a little dance. Beat your meat. But once it's been reduced, go ahead and add a little bit of your dry white wine. I'm using sherry here. Go ahead and deglaze the bottom of the pan. Once it's looking good, add a tablespoon or so of butter. Go ahead and bottle up your wine. It's 9 a.m., too early to drink. And reduce the heat. We're just trying to saute it a little bit and add some of that butter flavor while cooking off some of the water. Towards the end of cooking, go ahead and grab a microplane and that lemon and zest it. Be sure to leave the sticker on because that's good practice. Go ahead and scrape off the zest, maybe a little bit more. And then your duxelle is pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and take this off the heat and separate it out. Now, in this pan, we're going to start making our demi-glaze, which is 1 part red wine and an equal part beef stock. Go ahead and check your potatoes. They're probably done by now. Go ahead and drain them off and grab your ricer. Go ahead and load up your ricer with some tongs, give them a good clink to make sure that they're working. Go ahead and squeeze out that potato goodness. Make sure to not cover the camera. Good, we're learning. And once again, destroy your knife by running it across that. Go ahead and add some butter and some beef stock while it's still warm and fold it all together. You're going to need to season very heavily with salt and pepper. These things have zero flavor. Just like before, go ahead and lay some cling wrap on your surface and smooth the potatoes out. At this point, remember that we have boiling liquids behind us, so we should probably check up on that. Go ahead and secure this in a package and spin it on up so it's nice and tight. Then you're going to toss this in the freezer until we're ready for it, just so it firms up a little bit. Now for the demi-glaze, it's looking reduced by quite a bit, which is what we're looking for. So go ahead and throw in, you guessed it, more butter. But shake it in, no, stir it in. Go ahead and reduce the heat. And wait, we should whisk it in. Perfect. Go ahead and transfer this to your vessel of choice. I was trying to do something fancy here. Go ahead and wash out your pan, and it's time for the asparagus. Go ahead and choose your favorite looking ones, and go ahead and cut the tails off them. Realize your spatial orientation skills are awful, and cut off some even more. Go ahead and add some water, and we're just going to try and steam these in just a little bit of water. Now it's time for the pancetta. This stuff is sticky as hell. So go ahead and try and shingle as best as you can. We only need enough to cover the potato package, so don't go too crazy with this. Now, when you're doing this, realize that it's a pain in the ass, so just go ahead and trim off as much as you want. And we'll do one more. Go ahead and grab your mushroom duxelle and smooth it all over. Don't go all the way to the edges because we're going to be rolling this up. Check your asparagus and then go ahead and grab your potatoes. I'm going to place this right down in the center and we're going to roll it on up. Use your burrito skills and realize there's way too much on one end, so go ahead and cut it off. And oh, there's a little spot. Now we're going thin cut bacon this time. And I'm not going to weave it, I'm just going to wrap it around, trying to keep the seams all together on one side. I decided not to use butcher's twine this time. I'm just going to slap it on a pan. Now your asparagus should be done, but to finish it off, just add some more butter. Apparently I'm Julia Child today. And a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten it up. In place of butcher's twine, I'm going to put a toothpick in one of the ends so it doesn't come unraveled in the oven. Go ahead and season your asparagus with salt and pepper, and then realize you forgot to put the herbs on your roast. So go ahead and pull that out, take your herbs and just throw it all over the place. Yeah, go all Picasso on it. And throw that back in the oven, 425 for about 20 minutes, and it should come out looking perfect. Go ahead and take a plate, your asparagus, try and present it all nice and chef-like. Go ahead and scrape the herbs off of your roast. And using your tongs, go ahead and place that bad boy right in the center of the plate, removing the toothpick, of course. You go ahead and take your demi-glaze. And I was trying to do little circles all around, but immediately gave up and decided just to fill it all in. And there you have it. It's my rendition of Soma's gotcha pork roast. Don't mind that little splatter on the plate. That's better. The best part about this dish is that it totaled $7.87. That's less than the bacon for Soma's dish. Tasted better and looked more presentable. So that's a win in my book.